Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Balanced Vibes podcast. I am your host, Kirsten. Thanks, as always, so much for being here with me today. So, today I want to talk about why doing too much intense training and when you add fasting to it can potentially and very likely, not only potentially, but very likely, it will wreck your results. And you're not going to get the results that you wanted, even though at first things seem to be going well. So, this is what we're going to discuss today. However, I wanted to share with you a little bit of a hack, so to speak. So I don't know about you, but I sometimes wake up not feeling great, like not feeling like, oh, I want to do all the things. I'm super excited. Can't wait to get started with my day. Sometimes it's like, yeah, all right. So I have also learned, though, that it is totally impossible to change the state that you are in. So they basically just shift it towards more positive, more excited, more energetic. It is absolutely doable. It just takes some effort, and you have to be very aware and you have to want to do this. And you also have to figure out what are the things that work for you that then make this state shift possible for you. And I just experienced this actually yesterday when I woke up feeling kind of like blah, and I didn't even know why, right? You don't even have to know why. And there's nothing, there's nothing bad or wrong. It was Saturday. I didn't have nothing planned. It was like, just like, I don't know why I'm feeling this way. And I have learned as a result of practicing, trying out different things, that there are things that make me feel better. And this is totally up to me to make that shift so that I don't walk around all day feeling like tired and annoyed and be like, bah, right? So for me, a couple of things that really work well, and yesterday I noticed this immediately, this is what I want, was I need to get in the ice. And some of you know that I do love ice baths. I couldn't take them now for a while because of the tooth dental surgery that I had. But yesterday it was a week from that surgery, and I figured that it's probably a good time. I can do it. So I just, I filled my tub and I went to the grocery store and got myself like 40 pounds of ice. And I just put it in there and I got in the tub. I hated it for a second because it's like, oh, it's so hard. I haven't done this for a while. Also, your body can get a little bit deconditioned, I think. But once I got in and this amazing sense of like calm comes over me, I'm like, thank God, this feels so good. And when I get out, and this is almost always, I feel really energetic, really positive, and just like I want to do things. It just changes the mental state and the physical and physiological state. It absolutely does that. It has been shown in many, many studies now. And so this was for me. I knew I wanted to do this. And then what I also did, I listened to something very motivational on YouTube. So somebody that I follow there. And sometimes I need some reassurance that things are going well. I'm on the right path. And when you find somebody like this who is able to help you with that, then listen to it, make it even a daily habit. So I listened to him, I started feeling better and better, and then I put on some really good music that I love, that's energetic, that's kind of upbeat, and in a matter of minutes I was just like, okay, totally different person. And so if you notice that you are like this sometimes, you're just like, yeah, I don't know why I feel like crap, or I want to feel different, then just like don't sit around and just hope that it goes away. Do something that makes you feel better, whatever it is for you. So this is what I wanted to tell you today, a little tip. So now let's move on to today's topic and talk about why doing too intense training, especially when you add fasting to it, can actually ruin your results. And I'm talking about it because more and more people who come into my community, especially in my Fit and Fuel Facebook group, which by the way, you absolutely can and should join too. So look up the link for that in the show notes and the YouTube description as well. A lot of the people who have joined my Facebook group are those people who have done fasting, typically 16 hours of fasting, and then some strength training, but also multiple times high intensity training per week. And what is common to all of these people, all of them are women. What's common to all these women is that they are not feeling so great anymore. At first, they did feel great. They started noticing some great things like, oh, my belly looks flatter, and I'm feeling like I'm leaning out, and I have this like buzz going on right now, which we confuse. We think this is high energy, but the reality is that it's oftentimes just adrenaline pumping through our veins. So at first they liked it, they enjoyed it, but then typically I would say it's about 4 to 6 months in of that lifestyle, especially with the fasting and intense training, that it starts to kind of backfire. and you start feeling bad, all kinds of issues come up. So I did this similar thing myself too. I don't think that I fasted for too long a period of time. I mean, I did fast like 16 hours. That was years ago. I believe it was 2013 or 14, somewhere there. But I always did super high intensity training. So for me, it was a daily thing back then. I did it all the time. And my typical workout was like, 30 seconds all out, whatever exercise that got my heart rate up the most, then 10 seconds rest, and then do it again until I was pretty much breathless, right? And so this is what I did. And then I combined it with fasting. So I did all these workouts fasted. And the workouts also, there's no like rhyme or reason why I did them the way I did. I just literally decided that the one that gets my heart rate up the most is the best for calorie burning. So just kill it. Let's just crush it, keep pushing, keep pushing. Honestly, I can't even imagine anymore these days doing it. Just thinking about this makes me exhausted. So I don't know how I did this. But I do think that big part of it was adrenaline, right? So you have so much of that floating around, and that gets you through your workouts. And everything was focused on how tired I got, how many calories I burned, how much sweat I break. Did I like hit it hard? So this was like my workout philosophy. And I noticed that this is still for many people who follow these workouts or these protocols like that. They just think that as hard as possible is the key, but it really isn't, because you're depleting your system, you're raising your cortisol. It probably doesn't want to come back down too well if you're doing very often. And now when you combine this with fasting, that's going to make things worse, because now your cortisol is higher even more. So what fasting does is that it can definitely raise your cortisol. It puts stress on your adrenals. It puts stress on your liver, and you're not going to feel so great. So one thing you have to know about fasting and liver, why liver is important, is that or why it matters so much and why we talk about it, is that your liver can hold about 8 hours worth of glucose in your body. So let's say you're doing a 16-hour fast, and now the last 8 hours your body hasn't had available fast glucose available. Do you know where it's going to go to make that glucose? It's going to go after your muscle first. So now if you're trying to build muscle and you have been fasting, and then you push and punish yourself with really hard workouts, they're super intense, you're depleting. And what your body does, like I said, it wants to have resources. It needs glucose, right? That's why being on the super low carb diets is not good for it. That's why fasting for 16 hours is not good for female body, generally speaking. So now if you don't have glucose available, your body has to get smart and figure out where to get it from, because this is the first source that it prepares for energy. And so it's going to take your muscle. It's going to start breaking down your muscle. And this is not what you wanted, right? Because I thought you wanted to build muscle. So now if you are doing this and you are fasting and doing high intensity workouts, then muscle gains are, it's very, very difficult to accomplish. And what you have to do instead is to eat enough and lift heavier weights and rest between your sets. So when I went through all this too, everything was always focused on how tired I got, and was I able to wait until the eating window opened, which is ridiculous too. And in my case, I did, I opened my eating window like around 12 or maybe 1 p.m. And before that, I had done a high intensity workout. Then maybe I had a coffee, just like pushing that eating away as far as possible. But this was such a bad idea, and this was really bad for my metabolism. So if you are doing something like this too, think again, do you really want this to your body? Do you want to gain muscle instead? Or do you want to just like keep burning yourself out? And if you have been doing this for a while, high intensity workouts, low carb days, low calories, and then fasting, have you been getting the results that you wanted? So at first, like I said, it may feel nice. Some people tell me that, oh, I have flat belly in I don't know how many years. I've never had this before. Or I finally feel like I'm losing a little bit of weight, but it has taken you so much effort, and it has been like unhealthy work that you've been putting in. So even if you now at first start getting results, then like I said, it's about 4 to 6 months in that I typically see people are noticing how tired they are, how they need more food, right? The cravings go through the roof. They're anxious waiting when the eating window, quote unquote, opens, right? So just sitting there staring at the clock, you need the permission from your clock to tell you like when you can eat. This doesn't sound good to me. And you start seeing changes in your body, oftentimes fatigue, hair loss, cycle irregularities or missing cycles. So all these things will happen when you are just pushing so hard and doing too intense workouts, adding in fasting too. Um, and I've interestingly, talk to people, and there are always some people who argue and they say, you know what, this has been wonderful for me and cool. If it has, do what you gotta do. If this is helpful for you, yes, fine. But also, I've noticed that a lot of times these same people later come back and they say, it's not working anymore. So we have to then, start healing the metabolism, and that's okay. But a lot of damage would have been, we could have avoided all the damage had we not been so intense with workouts, had we not been fasting, had we eaten enough carbs and not doing the crazy restrictive, ways of eating that we're doing. So what do I then recommend that we do instead of this approach, which is really depleting, and what I personally do too, now that I've totally given this craziness up for so many years now. So what I recommend is that we start eating before we work out, right? Because like I said, your body wants glucose. This is the first preferred source of energy. So you want to have enough of that available. And by the way, if you work out really early in the morning, then you may not want to eat a huge breakfast, right? And that's totally fine too. You don't have to eat a huge breakfast, but eat something. Eat some carbohydrates and some protein. And then after you've done with your workouts, eat another half of that, for example, so that now you have a proper, big breakfast, just like split in two parts. That's totally fine. You can do that. Then also when it comes to working out, slow down the reps and feel what your muscles are doing. A lot of times also it's helpful to change the exercise that you're doing, because if right now the ones in the HIIT are just like a bunch of mountain climbers, high knees, burpees, stuff like that, they are not muscle builders at all. So you got to do things that actually build your muscle. I've talked about it a lot, what the main 5 lifts are that you should be focusing on. So work on those, get stronger, focus on strength and not how many calories you're burning. And also rest a minute or two between your sets so that you can maximize the amount that you're lifting. And I've been asked recently, why is this so important? Like, what's the difference between resting, let's say 30 seconds or 2 minutes? Well, let's use an example. Let's say that you're doing an overhead press. Don't you think that you can use heavier weights if you have given yourself 2 minutes off between the sets? I think you do. Even if it's a minute, minutes is fine. Minute is fine too, but I don't want you to do it any faster, in your next round. I don't want you to do it any faster than a minute, 2 minutes. And, during some phases of my lifting, when let's say I'm in the strength phase, which I hope you know that you have to phase your workouts properly. You're going to have a strength phase, you're going to have a muscle building phase, or different phases. So if you are in the strength phase, then a lot of times I'm actually resting 3 minutes between the sets. And I know for those people that I describe here who are in this like super high intense, they're like, wait, you're just like sitting around doing nothing for 3 minutes straight? What a waste of time, right? I could be doing burpees. But can you, if you do burpees, fill this 3 minutes and you just make sure that you work all the time or move all the time, then don't you think that you're not able to lift as heavy as you did before, because now you're exhausted and you don't want to be so exhausted. You want to be rested and recovered in order to lift that same weight, same heavy weight again. So I hope you take this advice. And if you are one of these people that, feels right now that I am kind of like burnt out and tired, and I've been doing this HIIT for a while, I've been fasting for a while, it's not working for me anymore. You know what? The problem is that you didn't try enough. Sometimes I hear, I think I should just, try a little bit harder because I haven't been, I haven't waited for 16 hours. Now I fasted 15 hours and I think this is a problem. And no, this is not the problem. Sorry, this is not the problem, right? The problem is that you're fasting still too long. It's also not that, you accidentally ate 10 grams of more carbs on your low carb day. This is not the problem either. The whole thing is a problem, that you are fasting for so long, that you're doing so intense workouts, that you sometimes combine low carb days with a very intense workout. This is a problem. These are the real problems, and you may not want to admit it because it worked so well at first, worked, quote unquote, but maybe it didn't, because if it did work so well, you wouldn't be struggling right now. And there, of course, is a way out. If you need any help with that, reach out to me. This is literally what I do every day. help people with, restore the metabolic rate and metabolic health so that they can enjoy true health and the body composition that they actually like. So I hope that you enjoyed today's episode. Let me know if you have any questions. And also, if you could, please leave me a review. It would be really great to see another review on iTunes. There are not too many of them, but if you do enjoy this podcast, then this is a very simple and totally cost-free way for you to support the podcast. All right. Thanks so much and see you again soon. Bye-bye.